Wow! I think I need some time to recover from this.
你是谁？你要带我去哪儿？
Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage and Deep Sea is a new Chinese animated movie that's absolutely mesmerizing. Honestly, animation like I have never seen before. It was written and directed by Xiaopeng Tian, and I wasn't really prepared for it. Unfortunately, I only watched this as a press screener, and the animation and the pacing are so fast, so busy, so overwhelming that I had a hard time catching up. It almost felt like my eyes and brain were about to burst. I was wondering if this was actually originally made and projected with more than the usual 24 frames per second. You know, like the latest Avatar. Because it really felt like it should have been. So that it's easier to track all those super fast movements and the endless stream of colors, countless little details and so on. As far as I know, it wasn't though. But as a matter of fact, this is a movie made for 3D, and I can only guess how dazzling it must be to watch Deep Sea as filmmaker Xiaopeng Tian has intended. I have read a German review of someone who was lucky enough to have seen it in 3D at a festival, and he absolutely loved it. And then he watched a screener as well, which obviously was only in 2D, like the one I have seen. And it was almost a completely different experience. Because apparently, this is a 3D movie that's really doing something with the technology, that really uses it to be expressive and crazy and feverish. Unfortunately, I don't have the comparison myself, but the 2D version appears so strange at times that I'm pretty sure that the same scenes play out quite differently when you watch them in 3D. And here are some good news for everyone who is living in Vienna, Austria. Which probably isn't a majority of my audience, but anyway. Deep Sea will be shown at this year's Slash Film Festival and it will be shown in 3D. And while my experience with it was really something else, the film nevertheless got me and fascinated me and in the end also moved me quite deeply. So I wholeheartedly recommend it. It definitely won't be for everybody. The story can be quite hard to follow, especially in the first half. The relentless pacing and density or busyness of the sounds and images can be overwhelming and exhausting. The characters and the humor can be a bit much, and once you understand what it's really all about, it's also a rather simple story, to be honest. But if you are into animation and want to see something that's unlike anything else, at least animation-wise, you should definitely check it out. It took me a bit to get into the film, also because it's very, and I really mean very reminiscent of Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away and also a bit of Howl's Moving Castle, so much so that it makes you think about these movies a bit too much. But there came the point where I just couldn't resist the film's crazy style anymore, and then I was just going with the vibe and really enjoying this kind of fever dream. Maybe I should talk a little bit about the story, and then you will immediately get the kinship to Spirited Away. Deep Sea tells the story of a young girl who is traveling with her family, consisting of her father, stepmom, and little brother. They are all very occupied with the newborn brother, and our protagonist is like the third wheel. And indeed, in the end, Deep Sea is very much a film about child neglect. And without spoiling anything, it's getting very sad towards the end. But I think also very powerful and cathartic. But back to the beginning. Like other famous fictitious characters before her, Alice from Alice in Wonderland and very similar Chihiro from Spirited Away, our protagonist Shang-Xiu gets carried away into a magical, fantastical world. She gets overboard, falls into the sea, and after the beautiful opening credits, arrives at a strange restaurant with an even stranger owner or chef, and strange, magical creatures everywhere. There's a continuous long shot that takes the audience through all the bustling and hustling that's going on there, and it's really a sight to behold. And of course, this is really super reminiscent to Chihiro's journey to that wondrous bathhouse of the mysterious owner Yubaba. This movie's head honcho is more like a mixture of Yubaba and Howl from Howl's Moving Castle, portrayed as this dazzling and super eccentric genius guy. Now, the many comparisons between the movies aside, and there are a lot, Deep Sea is able to unfold its own unique charm and definitely its own unique energy. It's a wild and trippy ride that almost never stops. Fortunately though, it does stop sometimes and knows when to slow down the pace a little bit to give us some more intimate moments with the two central characters. The rest of them are really more eye candy and dare to populate this magical place. Even our own protagonist is actually rather passive, but her journey and her arc work nevertheless, and I don't really want to say more about where it's heading. And again, it's really the animation and the fresh and unique style that carries the film. It's just fascinating. At times, it's spellbindingly beautiful, all the colors, all the water effects, how impressionistic it is. And then there are moments where it's not just too much and simply overwhelming, but also where it feels so grotesque and downright ugly. The way the faces are animated, how they are constantly moving, the lips, the chins, everything. It can be a really bizarre experience. But again, once I got sucked into it, it was almost impossible to shake off the film's effect. I ended up really loving it, to be honest. So in German I'd say, Deep Sea ist einer der ungewöhnlichsten und wahnwitzigsten Animationsfilme, die ich je gesehen habe. Ein knallbunter Bilderrausch, den man sich nur schwer zu entziehen vermag und der am Ende nicht nur unglaublich stylisch ist, sondern auch die großen Gefühle auspackt und sich diese auch irgendwie verdient hat. I give Deep Sea 8 out of 10. It's more like 8.2, but I don't do that.
Mate.
Alright, that's it. Like always, comment below and let me know what you think about Deep Sea. Have you seen the movie already? Did you see it in 3D? Please tell me about it. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and also on Patreon, simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.